Gaming Bolt presents 15 games with creepy enemy designs that gave you nightmares. There are some enemies in games who are casually cut down or shot, whether as fodder or real threats. However, some enemies just don't stay dead. They linger in our thoughts thanks to their gruesome appearances and make us wonder about the general messed up nature of humanity. So of course, we're going to take a look at 15 games that have a good number of these creepy enemies to battle. Divinity Original Sin 2. From the casual, undead to void-woken, possessed dogs, Divinity Original Sin 2 has a number of monstrosities out to get you. One bit of exploration could reveal a lamenting abomination, which appears composed of mutated wolves on a behemoth. Then there's the corpse of Alice Elysian, a witch who's perpetually on fire and speaks in tormented lines. And that's just by the second act, mind you. The Evil Within 2. Take your pick of the horrors in The Evil Within 2's union. Anima is the mama-esque wraith that's hunting Sebastian. A giant eye with tentacles surrounding it keeps watch over the town. There's the massive, hulking guardian who has the severed heads of women. As for Obscura, where do you even start? It has a camera for a face, and there are legs. Work it out on your own. Resident Evil 7. What's up with the bakers in Resident Evil 7? Well, Jack can be sliced and diced, but mutates into a multi-eyed, crawling thing later. Eveline has a mutated trunk-like face when she's not crafting hallucinations, and the less said about Marguerite and her creepy crawliness, the better. This isn't even taking into account all of the mutated creatures you come across. Silent Hill 2. A classic in the realm of creepiness, Silent Hill 2 visualized so many of the disturbing nightmares we remember today, like Pyramid Head and his deviant nature, the ubiquitous mannequins or the bubblehead nurse, and its twitching demeanor. By visualizing many of the repressed emotions of its protagonist, James Sunderland, Silent Hill 2 took its horror to a more psychological level. The Last of Us. Naughty Dog's classic is filled to the brim with its own brand of infected. These cordyceps-carrying fiends manifest different stages of fungal growth, most evident in the fungus replacing a clicker's face. A bloater is even more obscene, with fungus sprouting everywhere on its body. Of course, there are some enemies like the cannibals and David who are a different kind of creepy, especially when it's just Ellie facing them alone. American McGee's Alice. While the follow-up may have been underwhelming, American McGee's Alice was unsettling to its core. It reimagined several key Wonderland characters in horrifying ways. The Duchess is a cannibal, the Mad Hatter is now a crazed figure who actually killed the rabbit, and the Queen of Hearts is a monstrosity that simply has to be seen firsthand. All in all, American McGee's vision of Wonderland continues to resonate with us. Bloodborne. The various beings of the Bloodborne universe teeter on the brink of insanity, from the walking denizens of Yharnam to the various amygdala-adorning buildings and firing lasers down. The boss is like the spider-spawning Rom, where the mess of tentacles that is Abridus can be simply disgusting to fight. The Orphan of Kos from the Old Hunters DLC is probably the worst given its choice of weapon, though. Dead Space 2. Before it turned down the horror, Visceral Games soared to new heights with Dead Space 2. It threw necromorph children at us, necromorph babies that exploded in people's arms, and the overwhelming brutes. The Divider is perhaps one of the creepiest looking, with its lanky appearance, elongated tongue, and self-aware appendages. Isaac Clarke cannot and will never catch a break. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Sure, you may remember the beauties like Triss and Yennefer, but The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt also had Leshens, royal wyverns, fiends, ghouls, grave hags, and more. Who could forget the Bloody Baron quest wherein a botchling, essentially a child, could morph into a more vicious form? There's no shortage of monsters here, and the DLC only ramped it up further. Left 4 Dead. Aside from the stock zombies that rush at you, Left 4 Dead's infected are an assortment of horrors. The tank looks totally jacked, but will eat your lunch faster than you can say, "A Doyle rules!" The boomer will vomit bile all over you, while the hunter will tear you to pieces. The witch is probably the worst, with her screaming, one-hit kill power, and manic eyes. Dark Souls 3. It shouldn't come off as a big surprise that we have included yet another From Software entry in this list. The original Dark Souls game was undoubtedly the best game in the series, but Dark Souls 3 takes the trophy for the most creepy enemy design. Whether it be the monstrosity of sin or deep accursed, there is no shortage of completely crazy enemy designs that will spook the hell out of you. Metro 2033. Metro 2033 takes place in a post-apocalyptic Moscow with all manner of horrors mutated by the effects of nuclear fallout. The Watchers are dog-like mutants that can swarm you, while the enormous librarians are capable of tearing Artyom apart. That's not taking the Dark Ones into account, who are essentially humans that have adapted to the radiation and wage war against Artyom's folk. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. There aren't a ton of disturbing creatures in Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but the Gatherers easily terrified the lot of us throughout. If it wasn't the grunt and its blinding fast speed, then it was the brute that could down you in one hit. They look disturbing as well, whether it's the stitched together flesh of the grunt or the bolted on metallic parts of the brute. Then there's Alexander, whatever he may be, which is gross either way. Outlast. The mind reels at the horrors that Outlast unleashes upon you. There's Chris Walker, whose hulking appearance has mutilation all over his body. There are the twins that will murder you casually. Then there are the various inmates engaging in all manner of debauchery. No, we didn't forget the Wall Rider or the good doctor Richard Traeger, and to think Outlast 2 is somehow more twisted. The Dishwasher: Vampire Smile. Ska Studios' The Dishwasher: Vampire Smile is a hyper-violent action platformer with some of the most badass combat you'll ever experience. It also has some disgusting bosses like Goreface, who's literally a mound of rotting bodies, the Cretin, an experimental brute with metal spider legs, and even a Grim Reaper-esque lich who transports you to a realm to fight shadowy zombies. Super violent, but in the end, super awesome. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.